It's time for AggroChat, the official podcast of the Tales of the Aggronaut blog and stalwart gaming community, where we talk about stuff and things, and the stuff about the things, and sometimes gaming. I'm Belgast, and let's start the show. Hey folks, it's that time again, time for another episode of AggroChat. This is episode 226. Tonight I'm joined by Ashgar.
Hello.
Grace.
Hello.
Kodra.
Hi.
And Tam.
Hello.
So we have a potentially very packed show tonight. A lot of stuff has happened in the last week. So I guess let's kick it off with Smash Brothers Ultimate. It is Ultimate, right?
Sure.
What is the World of Light?
World of Light is the name for their new single-player campaign, which is definitely a campaign, sort of like it was in Brawl. Brawl had the Subspace Emissary, which was an entire plot involving the various Smash Brothers characters turning into Trophy and the weird entity that was causing them to do this and controlling Master Hand and all sorts of other things. It was a production, and it was one of the best things about that game. World of Light appears to be that and then even more stuff, including like skill trees and RPG progression and who the hell knows what's going on, and it looks amazing.
Oh,
I am so excited.
What was the thing before the Subspace Emissary?
There wasn't anything.
Adventure mode in Melee?
Maybe that's the one I played.
Adventure mode in Melee is just a few themed stages, like go through this Mario Brothers-like stage and then beat up the Mario Brothers.
Yeah.
Or
okay.
go find the Triforce in this big maze.
Yeah.
And fight Link when you don't see it. Yeah, that's what Melee had.
Okay.
I mean, this sounds significantly more interesting than Smash Brothers generally does to me. Because there's like a Mortal Kombat game that had something similar going on, and I forget which one it was, but it was kind of cool. You were unlocking stuff.
Mortal Kombat's been real big on the single player since, I want to say, 9.
It was one of the ones on the PS2. Was the first one that I can remember them having it on.
No, I don't know what that would have been then. But this, in addition to the normal like classic mode, is also becoming character specific. And then they're also introducing these weird spirit battles, which are also themed battles. Which feels like another take on event battles from the previous games, which were cool, and Smash 4 didn't have them. So it seems like there's going to be a lot of things there, even if you're not playing with other people.
So what are event battles?
Melee and Brawl had battles where you perform a battle under some circumstances to maybe do a certain thing or weird things are happening. Like I know one is Brawl had separate ones for co-op, and I know one of them that I can think of was Falco and Fox versus a superpowered wolf. And I think there was a single player one that was the other way around, Wolf versus a very fast Fox and Falco. Or like here's a stamina battle where everybody starts with a lipstick on their head, so your health is just slowly draining. You need to beat up the other person first.
That statement made no sense to me. Is lipstick on their head a debuff?
Lipstick is the...
Okay.
It's a big giant flower in a reference to Panel-Dipon, which is what became Tetris Attack over here.
Okay.
As to why it puts a flower on your head, I don't actually know.
Okay.
But the flower causes your HP to drain.
Okay, that makes a lot more sense.
Smash Brothers is weird. Like, it's always been this big crossover, and it's gotten weirder as time has gone on. I don't think anybody ever expected to see Sonic, Mario, and Cloud in the same game ever.
I thought it was weird that, like, Simon's in this one. Like, all they need is, like, Captain Power or whatever his name was, Captain Nintendo, or...
There was no game for that.
No, but like the entire cast of the cartoon would be in this one.
I mean, I think except for Captain N, isn't the entire cast of Captain N in this?
Yeah, it is.
Well, I bet money that either Mega Man's arcade mode or Simon's arcade mode involves that.
Because I'm pretty sure that was Mega Man, Simon, Kid Icarus. I think that's it.
Captain N is too early for me. Simon, Kid Icarus, Mega Man, and some characters they invented for the show, along with Donkey Kong and some other people. But I was already excited about this, and then they showed this, and now I'm really, really excited about this.
I was excited about this when I thought adventure mode from Brawl. No, not Brawl. Melee. I thought adventure mode was Melee was what everyone was calling Subspace Emissary.
No, not exactly.
Apparently, Subspace Emissary is adventure mode, but much cooler. And this is Subspace Emissary, but much cooler.
Yes.
It seems fine for me. I'll skip a generation and have a thing that seems really fun.
When is this actually out?
First week of December.
Okay, so we still have a little bit of time.
About a month, yeah.
It feels like the November-December timeframe is pretty packed as far as releases goes.
Yeah, just a little bit. I mean, Red Dead Redemption just came out this past week.
Yes, which everyone is basically saying is Skyrim with cowboys.
What is this?
Red Dead Redemption 2.
But people say lots and lots of things about this game. Most of them good.
Like, I want to play this game, but I also...
You want to play this game on PC?
Yeah, I want to play this game on PC. Like, really. And
give it time, it'll get here.
I mean, Rockstar really likes money.
I want to play this game, and I am very torn about this game.
Yeah.
The original Red Dead Redemption was probably the only Rockstar game I've ever like fully enjoyed and played all the way through. I think because I came into it I came into it expecting basically nothing, and because I was like, I don't like Westerns, but whatever, I'll try it. And it turned out to be great.
Well, and I also think it's really interesting that like Undead Nightmare was more than what has become the cliche your game plus zombies. It was like actually a real different story, like surrounding like the undead invading this little town. But largely I've learned if I have the option, I would ultimately rather play a game on the PC. And my hope is this time around they release Red Dead for the PC.
Seems likely.
Seems real likely. But, gotta get that double dip money.
Yeah. I'm going to try really not to be part of that double dip this time on this one. I mean, Capcom got my double dip on Monster Hunter, and that was a thing I did not think I was going to do, because I thought I was too invested in the console, but it just straight up feels better with a mouse and keyboard. Another thing that came out this week, which will segue into more discussions, was Diablo on the Switch, and that's really fun. It is a good port of Diablo 3.
Huh, okay. I've been eyeing it because I think the fact that I'm not super into Diablo has been, I've mentioned it before, but I've heard from a lot of people that what might be the thing for Diablo for me is to play it on a controller and not with a mouse.
It's significantly different in feel, but it's got some nice things going on. Everybody gets a dodge roll.
Yeah, that sounded extra fun.
Right, it helps you move around. So as a Crusader, I can just dodge kind of like I can vault with a Demon Hunter. Now,
that's cool.
It doesn't give me invulnerability frames like Vault does, but it still allows you to kind of move around without issue. Because cool. I will say on the console versions, you do have a greater likelihood of you getting just surrounded, which is in part why I was playing a Crusader, because they're a little bit tanky. So one of the cool things so basically it has amiibo support, and they're releasing a Treasure Goblin amiibo, which I'm gonna have just because, but apparently it doesn't really matter what one you use, but once a day you can scan an amiibo. And what it effectively does is, from what I can tell, it gives you the exact same effect as opening a pylon with Nemesis bracers. So it basically just summons an elite and a couple other mobs in a pack and lets you kill them. And then you get whatever loot was in that thing. And you can summon this anywhere in the world. But you can only do one per day. And apparently they were smart enough to keep people from changing the date on the console to keep summoning them.
I mean, they've had a lot of practice in doing that.
Yeah.
Because a lot of games have limited time per day amiibo functionality, and yeah, they all do that. If you change your date, you can't do anything for the rest of that day.
It's kind of shocking to me, though, that they're limiting it to one time per day, when, on Breath of the Wild, you can just summon an infinite number of amiibos that you have. There is no cap to the number of unique amiibos you can drop chests into the world.
Yeah, but Breath of the Wild isn't a multiplayer game.
True.
I mean, but neither is Hyrule Warriors, and it limits you to 5 unique amiibos.
That's fair.
But supposedly this version has seasons and all that, and so I created a seasonal character because why the hell not? I mean, at this point I don't have any items banked, so I might as well create a seasonal.
Yeah, there's really no reason not to. Does it have the event, the bonus cash event? going on as well?
I am not sure. I didn't check, but I would imagine so.
Like, I get the sense that the console version and the PC version are slowly coming more in line with each other. Because I know for a while there were definitely some major differences between the two, but it seems like lately they're bringing everything pretty close to the same level.
Yeah.
I don't know. If I had a Switch, I would definitely be buying this for the Switch. I mean, my initial introduction to the franchise was back on the PlayStation, so I don't know. I would probably rather play it on a console, but I'm so heavily invested on the PC side of things at this point that I never bothered picking it up for the PlayStation. And honestly, when it launched on the PlayStation, it was so different from the PC version that I wasn't all that into it anyway. But it seems like it's a lot better.
I find it a little funny that some of that is because the PC version adopted some console things, like how kill streaks were.
I find it like when I first played it on the PlayStation 3, I think, like it felt really different back then, but now it mostly feels like the familiar thing, just with a console or with a controller. The Ganondorf armor is kind of cool because it's like piece by piece. It's not like an overall transmog of some sort.
Oh, so you don't have to use the Ganon head?
No, yeah, you can just use the cool Ganon armor.
Cool.
You also have a Kuko or whatever as a pet, and I don't think it summons in more of them if you attack it. You also get like a really cool Triforce border. And the one thing that I really wish is like that I could somehow link up my Switch to Battle.net and at least earn the same rewards over on Battle.net, because the Triforce portrait frame is really cool looking.
I'll have to pick this up because I like a lot of Diablo in theory, but I don't like spam clicking my mouse.
Yeah, and this is basically spam clicking a button.
Yeah, but
or technically you can hold the button down.
Yeah.
Like you don't even have to spam click it.
Oh, for me it's movement. Like movement in Diablo frustrates me.
Yeah, it frustrates me too. That's why I have W bound to move forward.
Yep. It's the thing that it's the thing I can't do in Path of Exile that made me quit that game real fast, on top of some of the other mechanical things, but that was a big one.
Like I can handle steering with the mouse, but like let me move forward. So in other Diablo news that's going to be less enjoyable to talk about, BlizzCon was Friday, and I guess technically tonight. And so I don't even know how to get into this, but basically prior to BlizzCon, they had released a ominous sounding press release basically saying to cool our jets that, you know, there would be Diablo announcements, but not what we were waiting on. And in the meantime, between that and actual BlizzCon, there'd been a lot of talk about like certain signs pointing towards that we were going to get like a Diablo 2 remaster. So that was kind of the level of expectation people went into BlizzCon. They're like, you know, I think most people were expecting not to see Diablo 4, but maybe hoping to at least get some hint that it was coming.
I mean, my expectation going in, after they told us, like, get rid of your hype, my expectation was, like, a character pack and maybe remastered Diablo 2. Like, that's sort of where my expectations were. Like, the remaster of Diablo 2 seemed just super likely based on their hiring and a bunch of other stuff. And really just the fact that we haven't gotten Jack for Diablo 3 in forever made me hope that there was going to be either a character pack, new levels, whatever, something. I figured after they told us not to get too excited, and that to me said Diablo 4 is not going to be announced. But
well, the other thing is like whatever is leading immediately after the all hands kind of presentation usually gives a good indication about what they're going to talk about.
Right, like whatever comes right after the opening ceremonies is usually like their big announcement for the year. And Diablo was scheduled immediately after the opening ceremonies. So again, that sort of raised expectations somewhat.
And as it turns out, Diablo was their big announcement, but it was Diablo for mobile devices.
And let's be fair, right? Like, if I had to say, like, my primary Blizzard franchise, it's Diablo. It was my first Blizzard franchise. It's my favorite game, but that was certainly not what I was expecting. That's for sure. And I'm actually like, I am totally here for it. Like, from what I have seen of it, I will absolutely play this game. I think it looks like it will be fun. But man, was that not what I was expecting. And also, man, I am super disappointed that they didn't have anything to say about Diablo 3 stuff. It's just hanging there. Doesn't feel great.
So, I mean, the long and the short is the community behind of players for Diablo 3 kind of lost their shit.
Yeah, what happened after that announcement was inexcusable. Like, I am exactly as disappointed as those guys are, but how they treated the devs was absolutely inexcusable.
I felt so bad for those folks.
I've only seen like clips, and man, I having worked on the game that everybody in a series that everybody is excited about, but not the game that anybody wanted or was expecting. I feel for those guys. I feel for that team.
Just for reference, like, this has been kind of the gauge of the reaction. I loaded up the trailer on YouTube just now, and it's been up like about 24 hours. There are 10,000 likes and 228,000 dislikes,
which is down somehow from the 311,000 it was earlier.
So there's some shady stuff going on with the Diablo community team. Because
they're attempting to do damage control very, very, very
badly. They have been deleting comments from YouTube. And when you delete the comment, I think like it maybe removes the action that went along with it. I don't know. But like there's threads on Reddit of people that are like, this is my first time posting this comment. This is my second time posting this comment. This is my third time. There's one guy that like supposedly had posted a fairly benign comment like 11 times, each time it getting voted up to the top again, and each time it gets deleted. So yeah, like this is not going well for anyone at all. And here's the thing, like I never would have thought a Diablo style game would have worked until I started playing Dragalia Lost. And it is nowhere near as complicated as Diablo would be, but like I can kind of see how it would work. I still am not the biggest fan of controlling things on mobile devices, largely because they just don't make a phone big enough for my fingers to like have any measure of precision. But like I could definitely see this being fun.
Like, I want to play this game. Like, in another universe, I would be excited about this game. And as it is, like, I am totally here for this game.
I feel like, I don't know, like, I don't understand why they didn't realize this was going to happen.
Yeah. I mean, they know what the fan base of the Diablo franchise is like. And these people have stuck with this game with sort of the minimum trickle of content for a very long time. But also, I sincerely feel like, for me personally, maybe this would not have placated the diehard people who are being abusive to the devs, but for me personally, I would have gone from, this is interesting, I guess, but not what I expected, to, I'm really excited about this. If there had been maybe two things. One, for me, is if they had said, here's this game, and it's either available today or available, like, shortly, not in indefinite period of time in the future. And also if they had given us anything for the rest of the franchise. even if it was, we can't tell you much about it today, but we are definitely working on Diablo 4, or we don't have a lot to show you yet because we just started working on it, but we're gonna have a druid character pack like the necromancer pack. Like,
They're probably not working on Diablo 4.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know what they're doing, but I wish they were doing something.
Well, Overwatch makes a lot of money, and WoW makes a lot of money, mostly via microtransactions and not subs at this point.
I mean, Diablo doesn't make money because their attempt to make it make money failed spectacularly, and I keep waiting for them to find a better way to monetize the game and then release Diablo 4 with whatever that is. And I would be here for it, and I would pay it. And if they would have more content for Diablo 3, I would happily give them money for that. Like, I would be totally fine giving them 10 or 15 bucks a year for, you know, some extra levels, another class, like anything. But
it's actually interesting. I'm curious, why don't they do the champions model where you have 100 different classes you can play?
Because Diablo characters have a lot more content. They're voiced through the entire campaign. They have a very large number of skills rather than, you know, a MOBA characters.
Right.
But that's not to say like
that's not to say
literally.
they couldn't make more, but
right, like it doesn't have to be so many that I don't know what to do with them all, but I would gladly pay my, you know, whatever you want to call it, fee once a year or every 6 months to get something. And instead, like, I'm happily playing without giving them any more money for it, but that makes me sad because then they don't have any more money to pour into development for this game that I really love.
Yeah.
And the thing is, like I've said this before, like I would happily play a game like Diablo with League of Legends style champions as characters. Give me cool skins with them, give me like interesting builds for the champions, and let me go run dungeons with them.
Whoa. But
At
that's
this point-
exactly the problem.
at
League
this
of
point,
Legends-
I complain about the death of Darkspore, which was exactly that thing you asked for. It had like 50 MOBA-like characters, and you took a team of 3.
Darkspore was way the hell ahead of the curve.
But Darkspore is dead.
Yeah, I mean, like it's a dead game, and honestly, like I think the problem with Darkspore was, quite
It has
frankly,
Spore in the title.
well, and the graphics weren't that compelling either.
So I do think the fact that League of Legends characters are so simple and there aren't complex builds is what makes them fast enough to develop, and that you can have a game with 150, at which point you have this cool thing where like the champion you play can almost be part of your like unique identity, like how many people are actually out there maining Galio, whereas it's hard to attach your own ownership to the character you're playing in Diablo. I don't know, maybe weird item builds are how you do that, but I don't know how you monetize that necessarily.
I mean, I feel like there is a way for them to do that.
The saddest part is I feel like in my head I can imagine the entire process that led to this, where it's like, oh hey, Diablo is a beloved property. We don't really know what to do with it on PC because our previous attempt to monetize it was a disaster and it doesn't quite fit any of our other models. But hey, it's super exciting. It would perfectly fit a mobile model. And like mobile technology has finally reached the point, and like I can totally see like diehard Diablo devs who have been thinking about what to do with Diablo for years now and been frustrated that Diablo 3 isn't quite what they wanted, getting to the point where they're like, oh wait, no, this would work. Like mobile technology is finally here and good enough to do this thing. Other people have done kind of similar things and proven it out, and we can just do it better because that's what we do because we're Blizzard. And like,
maybe they can do it. Like the challenge for me though is nobody has yet to create a mobile game that is sticky enough and enjoyable enough for me to not be playing another game when I have access to other systems.
I mean, this might A, you might not be the target audience, but B, Dragalia Lost feels quite a lot like a Diablo game.
I mean, Dragalia Lost I play kind of every night, but like it is the thing I play right before I go to bed.
Which is a fine way to play it.
This is part of why I am 100% here for Diablo on mobile, because lately I have been playing Dragalia Lost to the exclusion of sitting in front of my PC.
Yeah.
So it has become that mobile game that I'm willing to give up PC games for a while for.
Yeah, and I feel like we're like right on that cusp where your previously core development studios are starting to get seriously involved in the mobile space with like real, sticky, interesting, contentful games. Like Nintendo certainly got in there. It looks like Blizzard is trying to get in there. And like I don't fault anybody for chasing the mobile market, considering that it's 20 times the size of the core games market, at least.
I think my biggest problem is still that like mobile control just doesn't feel that good, and maybe they have a magic fix for that.
I'm curious to see what they're going to do, but so I guess this also it brings up part of the problem that I know a lot of people have with this, which is that this game isn't actually developed by Blizzard, and so that's it feels a little weird. But I guess that the company that's actually making this game already basically has a Diablo clone for mobile, and so I guess if you wanted to know what the movement's like, you could probably go try that out right now, because it's probably not going to be super different. So I guess
that part I didn't know.
Yeah, so it's not
that seems like
built
a weird
in-house.
Yeah, that seems like a weird like.
So
that seems like a weird place.
There are people that are claiming that it's just a reskin, but like I've looked at the game that they're talking about, and the point of view is completely different. It looks more like I don't know, like all those WoW clones that came out. Like I'm trying to think of. There's one in particular that it reminds me of, but I can't think of the name of it.
Oh, the mobile WoW clones?
Yeah, that's what it really looks like
those.
To me. Kind of like a better graphics Pocket Legends, I think was one of them.
But I guess that's also part of why this feels so weird and unfortunate, is that the people who want more Diablo are looking at this and going, well, what are the actual Diablo devs working on if this is something that got farmed out to a different studio? I'm sure that they have been giving input and whatever on this, but where is the Diablo development time going? Like, let us know something.
Well, and honestly, like, to take a page from Nintendo, I mean, they did this when they announced the remake of Metroid 2. All they did, literally, was show a Metroid Prime 4 logo. That's it. Didn't give us any information, still have not given us any information.
It is somewhat likely that they are not actually working on Diablo 4.
I feel like if that ever actually gets out, the level of crucifixion of those devs is going to ramp exponentially, and it's bad because I don't know, like this is a really bad group to mess with the emotions of, because like Diablo 3 has been the game that Blizzard forgot. Like there's been several BlizzCons that had nothing from Diablo, didn't even mention that the game existed in the intro video.
Yeah, that was the most hurtful year. I was super sad that
But contrast it, like this is a super serious community. Like the amount of theory crafting that goes in behind like what is the best build this season and how to get things to work out a specific way, and the seasonal content where we grind up brand new characters every season. It's just, I mean, it's a weird mix of people that have felt uncared for by Blizzard, but are also super passionate about this game that nobody else seems to care about.
Yep,
and it's a bad situation. Like, and what you saw was the result of that pent up frustration behind a wall, ready to break down.
And I mean, I'll be honest here. Like, this is my beloved Blizz franchise, and if they actually came out and said we're sunsetting Diablo, there will not be a Diablo 4, like, I think I would just be done with Blizzard. I think I would be bitter enough to just be done with them after that, because I don't know. This is one of their core franchises, and they ought to be able to find a way to continue to make money off of it, and I would gladly contribute that money. And it is certainly, I don't know, like, I am not the core Blizzard gamer anymore, and I get that, and the last few years of Diablo and WoW news and development, or lack thereof, has made me really conscious of that. But I think we're not developing anything for Diablo anymore would be a absolute last straw.
Yeah, I can kind of see that.
I mean, and ultimately, like, I hope games like Torchlight Frontiers are going to be really good and give us something else to care about instead of a new Diablo game.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing that that helps keep me from turning into a completely bitter husk is knowing that that game is coming. I have no idea what to expect from it, but I loved the other two Torchlight games, so I'm definitely gonna buy it, and we'll see. But maybe that'll be my new Diablo.
Are all of the Diablo devs still at Blizzard? Like,
which Diablo devs?
That's a good question. Like, who are the big Diablo devs? I don't actually know.
Some of the big names are on Torchlight.
Yep.
And like Bill Roper, he's out of games now. He's not ruining things for anybody anymore.
Okay. David Brevik has been working with Path of Exile lately.
Yeah, most of them are other places. The big names are all gone, basically.
But a significant number of the people
hiring.
that were...
Yes, and the person responsible for turning Diablo 3 around is still there. Josh, what's his name? I can't pronounce his last name.
But I mean, there's a significant amount of the Diablo 3 team still there.
I would be so interested in being a fly on the wall for Blizzard long-term executive strategy.
I'm really interested to find out what, like... So tonight, as we record, there is a panel that's another Q&A session for Diablo Immortal. And I'm curious how that one goes down.
I'm going to go with probably awkwardly and disrespectfully.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't think there's going to be any surprise.
Yeah.
I'm kind of surprised that they didn't just cancel. And maybe they have, and I just haven't seen it on the schedule.
I mean, I don't know. That's a really tough call, because that looks even worse.
Yeah, well, so the place that I was kind of going with it, and what I was sort of thinking about, because you made the comment about, like, Diablo is one of Blizzard's core franchises, and if they were to solidly say we're not doing Diablo anymore, like, that would be a Blizzard last straw. And it makes me think about, like, I mean, maybe this will end up being a segue, but it makes me think of the Bethesda devs and how they've been making the same iterations on, but the same game for 20 years and desperately wanted to do something different and did. And the blowback was immense. Like, it's just been incredibly immense that they would dare to want to do something other than their core franchises. And it's really, it's hard to be in a creative role like that, but essentially be stuck making the things that you've already made. And, like, if you ever get fatigue, like, nobody can ever know. It's not allowed to ever get tired of working on a property.
I mean, I think in those situations, the only option is to leave the company.
Well, yeah, and then when people do, I mean, even that has massive blowback. Like, if a big name leaves because they're tired with a thing. Like everybody's like, oh, that thing is dead now. And I don't know how you solve that. I don't know how you keep like working as a professional creative. You kind of need to always have things that are different, things that are keeping it fresh for you, things to like make you think in different directions and come up with new ideas a lot of times so that you can go back and continue to like filter the new ideas into whatever it is your like central pillar work.
Well, I think that's why like at Blizzard folks have shifted teams so often to move to other projects for a while.
Because I know it was a huge problem with WoW for a while, was like all of the WoW devs were out of ideas because they'd been doing nothing but WoW for years upon years and had done nothing else. And they badly needed an infusion of fresh ideas and like did a bunch of shuffling. But like, you know, if you're a hardcore Diablo dev and you're like, I don't have ideas for what to do with this franchise. Like, what do you do? Because I think Grace is absolutely right. You can't say we're out of ideas, but I don't know what you do to come up with to rekindle that creative spark.
I mean, Bethesda currently is working on Fallout 76.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's exactly what I was referring to.
But even after this, they're going to work on some game that isn't in the Fallout, Elder Scrolls, or Fallout franchises.
Yeah.
I'm so
people
down
get
for that.
So mad about that. So
I don't care.
mad.
I'm looking forward to it.
Oh yeah, I'm super looking forward to it. Like, there's nothing more exciting to me than a super established dev studio doing a passion project or some like new idea that they're really excited to try. Because it's like, man, you get really good people trying something that they've never done before, and you get some really cool ideas. You get some really cool, like, these people are super competent, but it's not going to be the thing that people know them for.
Yeah, so like traditionally though, I mean, I feel like it's a better idea to do a Starfield, a separate property, than to do that thing in a franchise that's known for a specific thing.
Yeah.
Oh, you don't think that it's... So, I'm curious, where's an example of this?
I mean, Dragon Age Inquisition was a significantly different game, and it was also a game that I just didn't really enjoy as much as the previous ones.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it's different. It's doing a lot of different things, but I don't know why it doesn't strike the same chord with me. Wow,
we're going to be jumping all over topics, aren't we?
Yeah. I mean,
because
there's a lot of people that feel the same way about Andromeda. Even though I loved what they did with Andromeda, people were expecting Andromeda to be more of Shepard-style Mass Effect.
Because let me tell you, there's another game that came out this week that's a wild departure from the mechanics of a well-beloved game. And I think all of the changes are vast improvements.
Is this the point at which we're going to talk about Deltarune?
I mean, we're sort of shifting our schedule all over the place. But yeah, Deltarune just came out, and it's basically it's a continuation of Toby Fox's storytelling and his game design, and it's pretty different, but I think it's all improvements. It's really cool. So I'm really excited to see people take their work and improve on it and take it in new and interesting directions. So I don't know.
That's a sort of interesting one, because Toby Fox was super upfront. He's like, look, I probably can't make a game. I probably can't make a game that will make you feel the way Undertale made you feel again. Like, we're not going to be able to go back there. I'm going to make a different thing, and hopefully you'll like it too.
But that's the thing. Like, that's what happens when departures happen, is you ultimately leave some of the people that were along for the ride behind. I mean, the same thing happened when Diablo 3 was released. Like, there's a core of players that feel like Diablo 3 was the unforgivable line in the sand that was crossed, and now they're playing Path of Exile because that was the game for Diablo 2 players. So, like, for me, Dragon Age Inquisition was no fun. For a lot of people in this channel, they liked it. For a lot of people, Andromeda was no fun. I loved it. Like, it mutated in the direction that I kind of always wanted it to go. And that's the problem when one of these mutations happens is a game is in a combination of a bunch of things. Like, so there's combat, there's exploration, there's loot, there's story, and I kind of picture it like a SimCity RCI meter, and like each game is a certain score on each one of those. Like, in this game we really cared about the story, or in this game we really cared about exploration, or in the case of Fallout 4 we really cared about base building. But for someone, the piece of that game that they loved just got watered down, and it's whether or not it's still recognizable enough to match what they're wanting to play, if that makes sense at all. Like, yes,
but, and I feel like I'm going to read directly from Toby Fox here. Undertale is still a game that exists, and it is a world that is completed, and your Undertale game is still there for you. Deltarune is something new.
Yeah.
The existence of Deltarune does not undo the existence of Undertale. The existence of Fallout 76 does not do the existence of Fallout 4 or Fallout 3, nor do those games undo the existence of Fallout 1 or Fallout 2.
Although in a lot of cases it does mean that it does indicate that you're not going to see more of the thing you loved.
Yeah.
Which is a hard place to be. Especially for something where, like, I don't know, especially for something like I mean, we were just talking about Diablo. It's just especially for something like Diablo, where it's like there are not that many people making this kind of game. There's like 3 places, and one of them doesn't seem to be doing it very much.
It is interesting, though, because anytime there's this large-scale backlash, there is somebody who comes to try and serve that niche. Like, this happened with Diablo 3, as we were saying. Path of Exile was there to serve that Diablo 2 community. This is kind of why Pathfinder exists. It's entirely why Pathfinder, in fact.
I mean, that and Paizo, or however you pronounce that, had a falling out with TSR/Wizards.
It is frustrating that it seems like nothing's happening, even though they seem to indicate that something is happening. Like, the fact that they are hiring new devs, but they are not announcing anything new is a little concerning and odd. And honestly, what it makes me think of is Titan.
And I think they may just be gun shy because of what happened with Titan. That they don't want to let on that more is happening for fear that they have to reboot the entire thing. However, like, I think I would have been way more into Titan than I am into Overwatch.
I suspect not, just because I suspect that if Titan was actually any fun, we would have gotten to play.
I mean, I will say that, like, Battle for Azeroth got released. They obviously thought that was really fun to play.
Ouch.
Oh, it was for a while.
Yeah.
It was for a little while.
But, I mean, I do think the whole thing over Titan, and the way that's been, like, eulogized after the fact, has made them probably a little more gun-shy. I just mean, like, if I had gotten the Overwatch setting in anything other than a competitive shooter, I probably would have been all on board with that.
I see what's going on.
What?
Well, we were chatting about Blizzard job postings, and I was like, huh. And there's a ton of openings for, like, there's a ton of openings that explicitly say Diablo for unannounced project. And I was like, oh, that seems weird. They're also looking for a creative lead. I see what's going on.
So this might be in a bit of development hell?
No, we know a bunch of things that we're going to need because we've made a bunch of these games before, but we don't know the direction to take it in. We need a creative director. We need somebody who's going to, drive that. And it's a ton of opening. Like, they are hiring like crazy for, unless it's multiple unannounced projects, but it doesn't look like it. This is a lead technical artist. Yeah. I don't know. I look at this and what I read is we know we need a massive creative infusion for this franchise. So we're going to hire a ton of people who hopefully have fresh ideas and fresh things, because these are all senior positions. There's a ton of senior positions. There's a ton of lead positions. Which,
and it could simply be that they know they need a Diablo 4, but they have no clue what direction to go in.
Yeah, I mean, they know they need another. They want to continue the Diablo thing, but they need people with ideas, and I don't think that's necessarily bad.
I mean, honestly, like, I think that's good, but I kind of wish they had hired these people maybe 2 years ago when D3 was already sort of stagnating.
Yeah.
So I checked, and what I said earlier was wrong. Josh Muscara is gone, and has been for about 2 years.
Oh, wow. That is a lot of... This is basically an entire team. They're hiring an entire Diablo team from scratch. Executive producer, multiple producers, multiple senior producers. Oh.
So, that's a thing.
Oh.
So since we keep jumping all around, the other kind of thing that came out of BlizzCon that's worth talking about is the World of Warcraft Classic server demo thingy.
Oh my god, I have so much popcorn ready.
I'm so excited.
Like, I'm excited about this for probably all of the wrong reasons, but I'm excited about it.
So, okay, so here's the thing. Like, I've played a little bit. I recreated Loden, my dwarf hunter, and I recreated my very first character ever, which was a Tauren warrior. I'm not playing the Tauren warrior because, God...
Playing a warrior in 15 to 19 is awful.
Well, yeah, that and the Barons is horrible. I had forgotten how bad. I had legitimately forgotten how bad the Barons were. And, like, it's entirely because, like, it was just this catch-all zone that they needed to create a bunch of Horde content, and we're just going to dump it all in the Baron. So I initially was I'm going to play the Tauren warrior. Okay, no, it's miserable. This feels horrible. So I'll go over and play my Dwarven warrior. First of all, I'm a monster because I've almost exclusively been feeding my pet boar meat.
Yeah, that's definitely a thing.
There's so many things that I had totally forgotten about, like how slow quest text scrolls and that you can't skip any of it. Like, I legitimately remember this was the first add-on ever that I installed, was one that made quest text pop instantly.
Was that not a change until BC?
I was not a change until BC.
Huh. Interesting.
Also, like, just little things that I had forgotten, like how generally tough mobs were and how you really couldn't take more than one at a time.
Oh, yeah.
Not without tricks and shenanigans.
Oh, yeah. There's a reason why rogues were so popular in vanilla, because that is your entire toolbox, is tricks and shenanigans.
Well, and that's why I started playing Loden in the first place, because I fell behind due to a death in the family, and I needed something that I could solo. And hunters are really good at soloing. You got a built-in tank. I'm trying to think. Like, I will say it's kind of charming. It's so slow-paced, and without any quest advisement whatsoever, you have to read the quest text to figure out where the mobs are. And my memory isn't as good as I thought it was. Because there's a couple times that I have gone out in a direction that I thought was the right direction, only to find that it was like west and not east. Like trying to find Jangalode Mine. Like, I went totally the wrong place.
Does Curse have, like, revision history of their mods?
There's no add-ons tab anymore for the classic client. So, like, I'm not sure if they can. Maybe you can still install them, but, like, they removed the add-ons menu option. They went back, like they legitimately went back and removed a bunch of functionality from the client. Like, AoE looting is no longer a thing.
Oh, okay.
Like,
so this is legitimate. This is
legitimately patch 1.12.
Yes, it is legitimately a classic client. They went back, like, they disabled all of the modern models. Like you have the clunky old school models.
I approve of that. I had heard someone saying though that there were some settings that you could tweak. I don't know if it was in terms of the environmental stuff or what, that you could swap between more modern and classic mode.
I bet there's a bunch of stuff that because of like graphics drivers changes in the last 10 years, like they just had to fudge in.
Well, the game natively works in 16:9 resolutions, and it didn't at launch.
Yeah,
it was 4.4:3. So, like, yeah, I mean, like, but they functionally made a different client. Like, it's when you launch it, it's different. It's got the old load screens. It's got like they did a good job of trying to replicate what Classic was like.
Oh man. This is not a business model. This is a statement they're making.
Yes.
So,
yeah.
The cool thing that came out though is there's no extra charge for this. If you have like a subscription to WoW, you'll be able to play Classic. Like, it's just a thing.
I am so happy about that. Like, this is a thing that will get me to keep paying my WoW subscription. And it may be the thing that gets me to keep paying my WoW subscription indefinitely instead of, like, resubbing for a content patch and then quitting after a month or two and then coming back later. Because now I have something else to turn to that should be equally as fun. Possibly slightly miserable, but in a nostalgic, fun way.
Like, I mean, I've probably put in like an hour and a half. Because they only let you play for like 45, 50 minutes, something like that, before they boot you out. But I heard they disabled that because there isn't the demand that they thought there was going to be.
Shocking.
Like, I mean, the reality is people got exactly what they thought they wanted and they didn't want it. Like, I have a feeling that, like, people were like, oh, ew, this is nasty. Because even if you played an emulator server, you were still playing with a modern client on an emulator server. This is not that. Like, this is an old client. This is a purposefully nerfed client that has old functionality.
I mean, I'm not sure that this particular demo is going to ever be a good metric of how excited people are about this.
Because you had to pay to play it.
Right, like, so
also,
most
it's
of
Westfall and the Barrens.
Yeah, there's that. I mean, a bunch of the people who are probably hyped about it are at BlizzCon right now and unable to play other than on the floor. And the rest of the people would have had to have bought the virtual ticket to be able to play it at home. And, I mean, I noped out of the virtual ticket this year. I think that was a valid decision. But this demo was not enough to entice me to buy it. Partially because I don't think playing those particular zones with the limited playtime that they had told us we would have sounded all that exciting, but also because I know I want to play this, and I don't need to waste a bunch of time leveling up a character and running around on something that's just going to be scrapped. Like, I am totally happy waiting for the actual server to come up so that I can dive in.
That is 100% where I've been with a lot of this kind of thing recently, where it's like seeing it early is not worth the time I will lose by having to retrace my steps.
Yep.
Because I just don't have that. I don't have the time anymore to. Like, I used to jump into every beta I possibly could, even for games that I didn't think I was even going to play. I do not have that kind of time anymore. And who knows? If a bunch of people get into it, maybe I'll dip into WoW Vanilla, WoW Classic, and have a good laugh.
I mean, at least now you know that it's gonna cost you $15 a month, and if you hate it, you could play regular WoW for a while until your sub runs out.
I might actually like Classic more than regular WoW.
Oof.
I mean, I suspect that I will right now.
I mean, I have a feeling that there will be raid community on WoW Classic.
I don't have time to get to level 60.
No, it's true.
Well, it took me 6 months to get to level 60 the first time.
I know.
Yeah.
Like,
and I had a lot more time then.
Go on sabbatical.
So here's the other thing. is I remember not doing a lot of quests, but I didn't know why. Like, I didn't remember why I didn't do quests. It's because there weren't hardly any quests. And they were like, there was no such thing as quest stacking. Like, you could not get a bunch of quests and then go do a bunch of quests. They were like, here's a quest for this one region. Here's another quest that's open to you as well. But it's in a totally different region on the other side of the map.
Yep.
So, like, I remember just grinding random stuff because it felt way more efficient than questing my way.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. If you had a group that could do dungeons, you just live in whatever your dungeon of choice is forever.
Also, this is why Stranglethorn Vale was actually popular, because it had a whole bunch of kill everything quests. So that thing you were going to do anyway, you just get some extra XP for it.
Well, so the other thing that I had forgotten was the quests where you have like one type of mob that is so few spawns as compared to the other type.
Oh yeah, you need to kill 10 of this thing, and it's the rare spawn in 4 different things.
And no shared tagging.
Oh no.
And the other thing.
Well, you could, if you grouped up, your XP was cut by to 10% XP.
Yeah. So the other thing, I am deeply concerned about the people of Westfall, specifically the Gnolls, because they have a significant birth defect problem. Because I keep looting Gnolls without pause. Like, I probably killed 50, 60 Gnolls to get 8 paws.
I'm having flashbacks to comics from 15 years ago about this exact thing.
Yep.
I mean, it's just, but the thing is like, at some level, it was enjoyable. It's like, oh yeah, all these things that I had forgotten about. And I was not one of the vanilla is better rose-colored glasses people. Like, I thought it would be interesting. I had played emulator servers before, and like vanilla was never peak WoW for me. Like, Wrath of the Lich King was. Like, I still do kind of hold that expansion up on a pedestal, but not vanilla. Like, vanilla was where we learned everything, but I'm now realizing that, oh no, it's not that we were just worse at the game. The game was way harder.
The community of vanilla was also, I don't know. I feel like the server community of vanilla was something magical that I will never reclaim. And that's still true, I believe.
I think that's true.
It's a snapshot in time that we can never actually go back to.
I feel like there were some very, very good changes they made that did a lot to break up community server cohesion. Like, also,
the game is way slower.
Yes. Like the ability to play with your friends is pretty relevant.
Yeah.
But everything they did to make it easier to play with friends meant that you were less likely to have to forge your way on whatever server you were on, and you were less likely to be forced to discover new friends, or more likely just stop playing. But this led to early servers being a bunch of weirdos who were willing to go through the effort to meet new people, and it was really cool.
So the release date is summer 2019. So I think that's part of what led to the kind of the lackluster feel of BlizzCon. Is there was a lot of things that were talked about, but
none of them are happening soon.
None of them were happening soon for any of the games that I cared about anymore. Like, I mean, there was a time where I might have cared about Hearthstone, but Magic Arena came out, and that's the game I actually always wanted, not Hearthstone. And it was very heavily esports focused, and that's not really my thing. Okay, so I'm going to try and talk about this even though it's getting fairly late. Fallout 76.
You can probably cover this fairly quickly.
I would think so, yeah.
It's way better than I thought.
Yeah, I'm enjoying this game a lot. It will definitely be one of those games that I will probably buy a server for and have a private server that I can run around with people that I know.
Yeah,
and that's not to say that I've really had any issue with random people. They largely are just there and taking up space, and I just think it would be more enjoyable if you're playing on a server that you know everyone can be responsible adults and help each other out.
Yeah.
So the one thing that I'm curious about is how they managed to scale stuff up. Because I'll be honest, it didn't feel like we were ever terribly threatened when we were fighting stuff.
Man.
Other than the time when Tam got overwhelmed because we split the party.
Never split the party.
Yeah, well, if the party would wait 2 seconds,
you know who you're with.
Yeah, I do. Two people who don't notice when they left somebody behind and charge forward constantly.
Where are you guys? I don't know. We went through a series of doors. There were things to kill on the other side.
But so it was a pretty decent experience, fun story, very Fallout-y. Feels very Fallout-y, feels very cool. Feels great to play Fallout with friends. Like, my generic reaction was, wow, is it fun to play Fallout with friends?
Yeah, way more fun than I would have expected. I did not have a lot of high expectations for this, and frankly, the only reason that I played it was because Belle had a spare key. But give me a private server that I can play without having to worry about randoms harming my experience, and I am here for this. Explore the wasteland, find stuff.
But yeah, we found a area that can be turned into a settlement and managed to claim that settlement. This is actually why I would be almost tempted to play on a PvP server, because I think that control fight over control and try and defend your own settlements would be interesting. But I know
the private servers won't be available at launch. So I mean, I think it's releases on November 15th. So I will be playing a little bit at that point. So that means I will be playing on live servers. The cool thing is it seems like your character transfers across regardless of what server you're on.
That's pretty cool.
Because when I was playing with you two, I was definitely on a different server than the one that I had originally started on.
Ooh, this is where the cloud nerd in me gets curious. So is it going to be a private server that you rent from Bethesda and they still manage all of the infrastructure?
I don't know. I think it's going to be old school style private server.
See, if you have the ability to transfer your character from your private server to a public server, I have to imagine it has to be the other way around.
I don't know. People the providers are assuming they will be able to sell Fallout 76 server. But
I don't know if that's a good assumption.
Mods will be disabled at least for the start. They've specifically said that. And I think the only thing that you can really tweak on the server is whether or not PvP is allowed. I will say if you have killed a player without provocation, you are branded a murderer, and you show up to every single other player on the map, and you get lots and lots and lots of experience and loot if you go hunt that player down.
Neat.
So I know when we were playing, there was a level 20 murderer on that server, because I saw them and they were a little bit past where we were at. And by default, they can't damage us. However, if we get in range of them, they just show up like a red bar mob to us.
That's pretty cool. I the amount of content that happened from just we wander into area was pretty impressive. I mean, I guess it shouldn't be impressive. It's a Fallout game by Bethesda. They're very good at this content density equation. But I always felt that the density of the content was good enough.
Well, and the other thing is, a lot of people have complained about the lack of NPCs, but there's so much story happening that's not NPC driven.
I legit didn't notice. There are terminals and there are robots, right?
And there's holotapes, and then letters that you find on desks that talk about things that are going on. So there's a bunch of informal story happening that isn't NPC driven, but there's still story.
Yeah, that's actually really interesting, because I legit did not notice that. I wasn't dealing with because I kept getting quests. I kept getting things to do.
Yeah, you're basically always getting quests from these automated responders. And a lot of the quests feel like the whole Destiny voice in your ear thing that happened on missions. So I've gotten used to that don't think of that as not being NPC driven.
Well, a lot of quests just quietly appear in your thing. It's like, hey, there's something near here that you can do that's cool.
Yeah, I mean, like we went and saw a shitty roadside attraction that was still around, and the only reason I knew anything about it is because I saw a flyer and I read the flyer and it put it in my map and quest log. Go check out this roadside attraction. Look at the giant teapot. I was like, oh, sure, I'll check out a giant teapot. It went kind of badly.
No, what went badly is when we decided to go into the power plant.
I feel like that was my favorite part of that entire thing. It was awesome.
It was just so many things all at once attacking us. Every time I turned around, it was a different batch of things attacking us.
I was surprised at how fun it was and how much of the parts that I actually like about Fallout were in effect there.
Yeah.
Because I really expected it to be like most. Because I think Ash put it well. It was like, this is all of the things about Fallout that I don't really care for, and I thought I was going to have the same opinion.
Well, it made me realize how much of the Fallout experience for me is just wandering around exploring.
Yeah.
And like, I've been playing some Fallout 4 again as kind of a methadone to playing this, and as many times as I have sat down and played Fallout 4, there are still things that I've never seen before. Like, when I play Skyrim, I've logged so many hours in Skyrim. There are still tons of things that I never quite happened to go this exact direction before, and encountered things that I've never seen before.
And I think
and
that was
76
what made...
feels like this. Like, I mean, there's
yeah.
just... Well, so for example, I thought we were headed one direction, and we encountered a totally different thing and ended up going across the bridge.
Yeah.
That was just around the corner from the place that I thought we were going to, but never went down there.
And that was the cool... I think that was what made the multiplayer experience so cool, is with 3 different play styles and 3 different approaches and 3 different sets of eyes, you see a lot more. You get to know about a bunch of things, and everybody gets to discover things and then share it with the other people, and then everybody shares in everything. Like, that was a really cool... That was probably my favorite part of the experience, was like, I would find something, and then Belle would find something. We'd all go over and check out what Belle had found, and Kodra would find something. We'd go see what Kodra had found. This solidly took me from probably not buying this game to I will seriously consider buying this game.
The only thing that I hate is this is another situation where there's a lot of bad press floating about it. And like, I'm not going to go into a lot of details, but like, some of it I think is just, again, people that didn't want Fallout to be this. Because like, there's a video floating around that someone linked in our Slack, talking about all these performance problems, and a lot of times I can't say for certain whether or not that's the case, but in this specific example, this person was talking about that they're running an i7-5820, aka the exact processor I have, with a 1080 Ti, aka the exact video card I have, like the exact family of video card. I don't know, I mean, there's a bajillion different flavors of those cards, but all 1080 Ti should run within similar parameters. And they were talking about how they could not play the game and get decent performance at 1440p. I was playing this afternoon at 4K and getting 60 plus frames per second. So like, it was smooth as hell. Like, I was surprised it was running as smooth as it was. I expected once I bumped it, since this is a new machine or new game and it's relatively unoptimized, I was expecting to get way less than 60 frames per second at 4K, but it ran smoothly. So, I don't know. Like, I think a lot of the bad press surrounding this is similar to the Diablo mobile release. This was a game that a lot of people never asked for. I, on the other hand, always thought it would have been cool to be able to play with other people in Fallout or Skyrim or whatever the Bethesda universe is. It always felt like just roaming around the wasteland would have been a really enjoyable experience. And turns out it is. But it's because it matches my parameters of what Fallout is like to play. If you were super into the story of Fallout and like the NPCs and the characters, then this is probably a game that isn't going to match that parameter for you. I think that's the thing. That's the magic sauce that like is difficult to pin down with a game. Is it's entirely subjective as to whether or not you're going to enjoy something. Anyway, did we sufficiently cover Deltarune, Kodra?
I mean, not really, but hey, we'll talk about it next week. And
it's been out for, by the time this comes out, 4 whole days.
I've played it. It's good. Did you know Toby Fox is kind of bad at marketing?
The way this thing
was intentional.
Was just nonsense. And he asked everyone not to talk about it. So, of course, they immediately talked about it.
Anyways, I didn't find out about it until Jim Sterling did a video on it. Somehow I missed all of the hype on Twitter. But, yeah, Deltarune, it's out. You can go to deltarune.com and download it for free.
Notably, when you go to install it, it tells you that, you know, your normal license agreement tells you that you accept everything that will happen. And I actually looked at that after having played Undertale and went, you know what? Maybe I don't need to play this game. And actually didn't install it.
It's understandable.
Anyway.
The first time anybody has read an EULA.
I mean, the first time anyone could at a glance.
It's fair.
I mean, admittedly, like, more EULAs might be followed if they were, like, pictogrammed like this is. Oh, do we have anything else before we wrap it up?
Don't think so.
Not that I can think of.
We were sort of all over the place tonight, but hopefully you enjoyed the show, and we will see you again next week. Good night!
Good night.
Good night.
See you.